Hello, how are you? I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving if you live in the US. It was a feast for me over at my house. It was so fun. I got to cook for 4 hours with my husband and make a super delicious meal for our kids. It was so fun. And true story, I have never been somebody that has cooked in my whole life. And a year ago, around the same time, my husband was like, because we have three kids, and he's like, you need to learn how to cook. I can't be the one like making all the meals together. And I was like, you're right. I really do need to get over this fear that I have of cooking. And the last year, I've been making probably dinners maybe 3 times a week. And so cooking Thanksgiving, I've never done that. I've maybe brought like a side dish or something, but I've never actually made like the pie and certain parts of the meal. And I felt really accomplished. And so it kind of leads me into this Gemini energy where Gemini has a lot to do with the stories that we tell. So we're gonna talk about this. But before I dive in, if you're new to me, if you're just finding my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. My name is Donnell Davis, and I'm a channel and a healer, and I am also a mentor that specializes in future self-embodiment. I have a methodology called Healing For, which is about future self-embodiment, and I really help my clients not wait until the far distant future, but really take the now moment to become and actualize who they really want to be so they can have the success and the love and all the things that they desire. And that story I just told you is me becoming my future self because I visualized myself in the kitchen. I was someone who I didn't grow up with a mom who let me be in the kitchen. So embracing this part of myself. And it's just amazing what can change in a year when you really put your mind to something. And Gemini is the twins, and it is ruled by Mercury. It rules the third house. So just a little bit about that. The third house is our kind of like smaller day-to-day life. It's very much this energy of communication, expression, the way we think about things, the way that we have our perspectives around things. It reminds me of like lightning flash information and energy, truth. I love Gemini, and I feel like Gemini has this with the twins, it has the two sides. If there's a set of twins, there's going to be different energy. So there's a little bit of that kind of dichotomy that comes with Gemini energy. So this full moon in particular is going to be a super full moon. It's going to be amplified emotions, heightened intuition, and revelations that feel bigger and clearer than maybe normal. And it's going to be opposite the Sagittarius sun. So thinking of Sagittarius, which is all about meaning and big picture, and Gemini being more like the details and the mind. Another way to see Gemini is information, and Sagittarius is that intuitive energy. So we're dealing with that excess, and we're going to see how this works for us, right? Because I always think for some reason, because I'm a Sagittarius, I have a stellium, and I always think of Sagittarius as like the world's energy, and then like Gemini being like the city that you live in. I don't know why. That's just something that's always kind of helped me remember like the vastness and bigness of Sagittarius. It wants to see everything, do everything, go to foreign countries. And Gemini is like, I'm going to be right here and I'm going to explore with my mind and I'm going to learn a bunch of things and I'm going to be really adept at that and great at communication and whip smart. That's kind of when I think of Gemini. So, something I want you to be mindful coming into this full moon is revelations, just things that weren't expressed before, being talked about, communicated about, being more visible, information coming to the surface. It might be one of those things where something in the collective, it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Didn't see that one coming type of energy. But think of those like truth telling conversations that you have with people where someone's expressing what's been unspoken. That is going to be very much this Gemini full moon energy. And for some of you, you might be like, oh gosh, that's not fun for me. I don't want to hear those kinds of things. But if you don't know the truth, how do you fully operate, right? So you want to know the truth. You want to be able to have conversations and connections with people that elevate you. So it's good to understand where you are within all of that. So don't be surprised if there's, just interesting communication coming across. And Venus is in Sagittarius right now. So Venus is all romantic and Sagittarius and adventurous and just big picture thinking. And so I think our relationships are going to be extra interesting and more adventurous than normal and even more romance because Venus infused with Sagittarius energy is like it wants to play that big game, but then with how it's in, with Gemini in the picture, it's probably going to add that layer of the expression, the thing that needs to get out that would bring everything into alignment, or maybe not. Maybe that's the thing with this full moon is there might be, well, this is a closure. Okay, this is the last full moon of the year in a 9 year. So we're closing out the 9 year cycle. And it feels very karmic and destined that, of course, like, what do you need to see before you close up the year? What do you need to know about yourself before you end this year? So think of this as completions or insights that help you find that completion, releasing what you don't want to bring into 2026. And I was just mentioning the Venus involvement, and that could look like emotional or relational truths surfacing, values misalignment becoming obvious. So some relationships right now this has been a year I've seen so much. I'm curious, have you seen this? I've seen so much transition in relationships this year. Um, I would say that if you're one of those people experiencing that, then it was meant to happen, right? It was meant to happen. It's really hard though when you're going through that, especially if it's not something that you were wanting. But if you are in that space, trust the higher path that's being laid out for you and understand that there's a lot of mutable energy that we get to work with. So there's flexibility, there's a lot of reframing, there's pivoting, there's openness to new perspectives. So that's going to really support you and help you with this full moon. And just remember, Gemini is a lot of mental energy. There could be some restlessness, information overload. Really ground your nervous system. Gemini in the body, like really making sure that that information really lands deeply and beautifully, I should say, into a place of embodiment. So it's not just a bunch of you're learning or figuring things out in your mind, but you're really taking it into your heart, maybe even deeper into your vessel, into your root chakra, grounding it in. I think that's going to be a really important thing with this full moon. And I want to pull a few cards because I just love channeling when it comes to these because there's a million videos that you can watch about astrology. And I love talking about the basics of it. But what I'm here to really support you with is the energy of it. So I've given you some of the highlights and some of the things that you can work with, but let's get into more of what spirit wants you to know around this full moon. Okay, so I am going to pull a few cards, but I personally am seeing this because I have Gemini in my third house and I have so much Sagittarius. I'm seeing this as really that balance in my life between that big picture thinking, which comes so naturally for me, and how can I get more into um, kind of a smaller framework for it, and what are the things that need to be communicated so that my dreams can come forward. And also, I think of the third house as well with it's kind of like that extended family energy, like the people that you spend time with, like looking at that, kind of get reviewing all of that as well. Let me see. Okay. Fun cards. As soon as I said that, I got two difficult cards, but that's okay. We're gonna roll with the punches. Okay. So let's see. The message here is this is a cycle that you're about to go into next year, where we're going to be starting a 1 year. So it's kind of, this is preemptive of what is the story of your life that you're acting out right now? And does it behoove you to shift it up at all? Are you loving the storyline, or are you kind of like, yeah, that needs to change because that is not in alignment with who I want to be or where I want to go? So this is about getting excited. Um, I'm feeling the sense that this full moon is going to have a lot of psychic intuitive insights for everybody, that you will get deeper clarity about where you're headed. You might not know like the whole pathway or direction, but you'll definitely get like a sense and a feeling. So the way you can track that is through the excitement. If you feel a contraction, it's probably related to something that you're fearful about or more about the past. Because if you're moving into something new, and you're excited about it, it should feel like a sense of joy, or um, flow or ease or whatever. It doesn't mean it's always going to be easy, but there should be some of those yummy, feel good emotions associated with that. So look out for that. Um, a big theme with this is we're going to have to face some of our fears and be strong and resilient to create the life that we really want. I feel like anything that's out of alignment, anything that's kind of on shaky grounds is going to be revealed so that you can move forward in a more structured and grounded way. So this card is so perfect for the Gemini full moon, because it's this card. It said suffering and silence. It's a 9 card. So it's basically saying any story that you have been reiterating and telling yourself that limits you, you need to be done with. 9 is a card of completions and endings. So this is basically really so clear. It's like, hey, you cannot keep telling yourself that story. I'm hearing beautiful studies right now about, I think it was a study out of Harvard where it was all about how you talk to your body, and the placebo group that wasn't taking any medication, and when they spoke to their body, their inflammatory markers went down and they were able to heal more. And I just love that. I thought it was so incredible hearing that. And I think what that is telling us, right, is our body's always listening. So if you're always telling yourself this limiting story of I can't heal, or I can't have this, or whatever it is, you're creating that environment within yourself. And so this is the full moon to really notice, are there stories that I need to stop telling? Am I suffering by myself? Could I express or communicate myself to someone to get the support that I need to move forward, to understand things better? There's also the Tower card associated. So for some of you, so for some, this may be a Tower moment, because something's going to be revealed to you, some information is going to come through that you need to move forward, that you need to shift your reality. So it doesn't mean that your life's going to fall apart. The Tower is always about letting the thing go so you can rebuild it better. So if there is that shaky foundation, or you're in a relationship and it's built on, you know, communication that is the strongest, this is the type of energy that's going to come and it's going to test that. And it's going to say, we either get stronger in the way that we communicate and be with each other, or not. So the Tower card comes in and it's really shaking things up a little bit. And we got the Strength card here. So this is all for kind of just the present moment. We got to really, to be in our power, we have to let whatever is being revealed to us, it's there to support you and help you. Okay. And it's about finding your power by facing and being realistic and honest with yourself about what's not working, or what might need to be edited, shifted, revamped, all that kind of stuff. And then we go into these other cards that I pulled that are actually chakra cards, so the solar plexus, the throat chakra, and the rest and rejuvenate. So those cards are basically telling me that besides taking some time to integrate, like this might be a very emotional big full moon. So give yourself time to be in your body, meditate, go out in nature if you can, recharge. Okay. Make sure that you're nice and grounded so that whatever's happening, you're working in alignment with it versus in resistance to it. And being that it's your throat chakra, which is how you communicate, right? Can't make this stuff up. And your solar plexus, it's really your power center, your self-worth. And so I feel for some people, this is going to be such an up level of looking at like, gosh, how has my life changed since June when there was the new moon in Gemini? What has come to fruition? What has culminated? And how do I feel about all that? Is this enhancing who I am and who I'm becoming? Can I be proud of some of the changes that you've made? That's what it feels like with the solar plexus card. So for some of you, it's like a big activation of like, wow, yeah, I really stepped forward. I'm in my power. I'm expressing and creating a whole new reality from what I'm saying, how I'm describing my reality. That's where you want to be. And if you're not there, that's okay, but use this as an opportunity to work into that. Okay. But don't be afraid to face any fears that come up around what might be revealed or shaky foundation. Okay. I love those cards. And so I just want to say from a futuring perspective, what I would do because we are coming to this final full moon for this year, just make sure that the story that you're telling yourself right now is aligned with who you want to become. If you're always complaining about your finances or your debt or how you don't have new clients or you can't meet your person or all those things, that is telling a story that is reiterating what you don't want. And so, what can you do to shift that? And then really speak from the tone of your future self. I would love for you guys to get to know the voice of your future self because she or he is going to speak differently than you because they have different things going on in their lives than you do, right? If you're having a really incredible vision of what's possible for you, right? They're already living a different life. So get into that voice and speak from the present moment as much as you can. I don't want you to feel like a phony, right? Like, oh, I'm making $1 million. If you're not making $1 million, you don't need to say that, but you could say something along the lines of like, I continue to make more and more revenue. I'm on my way to being so much more profitable. I'm on my way to receiving 20K months or whatever your jam is, whatever it is. And I would really see this as an opportunity as well for alignment with your how you're expressing. Are you telling yourself the truth? I mean, that's always, I feel like anytime I talk about that, it's like there's like so much sparkiness to that energy because a lot of people aren't telling themselves the truth. They're staying in a reality that is manageable because they're settling. They don't want to really have that, but they're afraid of what's on the other side. And so this full moon feels like it kind of shakes things up in that regard too. And so how could you come into more alignment with your soul using this Gemini full moon energy so that whatever comes your way, you just see it as like, hey, this is a signpost guiding and leading me into who I'm becoming. And all I have to do is lovingly hold that information and ask my higher self and source, God, divine, however you want to say it, how can I shift this? How do I get into more alignment with the life that I really want to create? And just realize that your subconscious is always the one running the show. So if you ever want to work on your subconscious, I love doing subconscious reprogramming. It's one of the things I do with my one-on-one clients. We go deep, we go back and we reprogram a bunch of things. I do have space for a client or two for one-on-one, and then I'm focusing mostly on groups next year. So I really encourage you if you've been on the fence and watching these videos and you're like, I need some support. And especially if you're wanting to up level or heal your life. The work I do, and I'm not going to get into all the details, but besides the subconscious reprogramming, I do constellation work. I'm trauma informed. I'm a channel, so I see things very quickly and clearly. So I have all these ways that I can support you, and I've been doing this for 20 years. So this is grounded, embodied, sustainable transformation. I have so many client success stories. I've watched miracles happen in my clients' lives. So if you're interested, reach out to me and I will see you guys soon. Take care and have a beautiful full moon.